Okay, first of all, I'm going to start off by saying this. Knowledge is power, and when you have knowledge, you have the power to subdue your ideological enemies. And I'm going to make a very quick example of this new book called In Defense of Looting. Now, there's some people that will read a book and say,
well, it's written in this book, so therefore it must have been true or something, because you know the books don't lie.
Now, in this day and age, I assume that common sense is not exactly so common these days, so I'm going to swiftly debunk this lie that this book is already teaching people, and people are believing without any sort of evidence. Alright, so this is what it says. It reads, and I quote, "It's actually a Republican myth that has, over the last 20 years, really crawled even into leftist discourse, that the small business owner must be respected, that the small business owner creates jobs and is part of the community. But that's actually a right-wing myth. A business being attacked in the community is ultimately about attacking the modes of oppression that exist in the community." End quote. So sit back and let Jubilee and I tell you why that is BS. Now, for starters, if you look at every single state in the U.S., there is not a single state in the U.S. where the unemployment rate by small businesses is less than 41%. Second, the small business ownership in several of these industries is actually quite huge, especially when it comes to food, agriculture, and forestry and hunting, even fishing. So if you were to say F the small businesses and got rid of them and burned them all down overnight, you would find yourself starving. Because God knows the average commie does not know how to hunt or even fish. Probably never has. Oh, and third, get a load of this one. If you were to kill small businesses altogether, then you will be killing roughly a third of your country's GDP. That sound good? Ooh, yeah. And the market share is actually pretty big in Canada too. Look at this. Now, you might be thinking that it's not rocket science to know that 99.9% of all businesses are small businesses and that they employ 47.3% of the private workforce in the U.S., excluding government workers, of course. You may be thinking, well, this doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. Why would they say something like this? Well, it's actually pretty simple when you think of it this way. They're trying to find excuses to excuse all of the businesses and livelihoods that they have been destroying. Now, a lot of people are turning against the left because of this, because they're constantly saying, well, this is all peaceful protests, but anything that was, burned down and looted and people that were killed, it was all done peacefully, so therefore it's somehow okay, Now, some people that will defend this book, on Twitter, for example, will bring up passages like this.
Yeah, but looters and rioters don't attack private homes. They don't attack community centers. In Minneapolis, there was a small independent bookstore that was untouched. All the other blocks around it were basically looted and rioted and leveled and burned down. And that store just remained untouched through weeks of rioting.
Yeah, that's a good excuse.
To say that you're attacking your own community is to say, rioters, you don't know what you're doing. But I disagree. I think the people know. I'm a retard.
Okay, so there's two blatant lies in one, but first we're going to tackle the second one. The first one is a bit more complicated. So, this guy here replies, so they missed to skip the bookstore. Mobs destroyed quite a few independent bookstores around the county, immigrant and minority-owned businesses, and so on. The author doesn't seem to mention that, now does he? And now about the bogus claim about looters not attacking private residences and so forth. Now, according to this, that they said it could take weeks or months to calculate how many residences, churches, nonprofits, alongside of minority businesses, were either damaged or destroyed. Now, if you want to see more on the statistics, go ahead and click the links in the description, particularly the one from startribute.com. It has a very comprehensive list of businesses that were destroyed, burned, damaged, looted, and so on. It even has a map actually showing you where everything is clustered together. A nice pretty picture for those too lazy to read. Oh, I'm an Alabama nigga and I want to be free. Eating Popeyes is oppressing me. Sometimes I legitimately feel like I'm the only one of my ethnicity that doesn't shoot himself in the foot and blame the white man. And I wouldn't be surprised if they try to teach this in college academia these days. But the primary purpose of this was to show you the power of a 5-minute Google search, because it's literally all the time it took for me to dig all of this up. Some people don't know how to do their own research, and frankly, I'm not talking about just the left. Some people on the right don't know how to do it either. And no, I'm not naming anyone in particular, I'm just saying. So, there you have it. I hope you learned something new today. Now, please go watch something else.